You're listening to Permission to Heal, proudly brought to you by Alli Therapy, where brave human stories around mental health meet expert insight. And I'm Kelly, your host and registered psychotherapist at Alli. Join us in a space to speak freely, connect deeply, and heal in community. Kelly here on Permission to Heal, Alli Therapy's podcast, where brave human stories meet expert insight. And today we have Ava here, and we're going to take a journey through her immigration experience and her expert insight on supporting clients who are experiencing something similar. Ava, let's start at the beginning.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, wherever you think that is.
Yeah, so I guess the very, very beginning would be me growing up in Iran. I'm an only child, so no siblings or anything.
Okay.
And then I think it was around age 13 when my parents broke the news that we're moving to Canada.
Okay.
And my whole world was shaken up by that. So it was me finishing, I think it was grade 8 I finished. And then the summer of it, we came to Toronto, moved to Richmond Hill, and started high school right away. So
Immigrating to Canada for high school's hard enough, Ava.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about your childhood in Iran and what that was like first.
Very, I would say I was in the higher socioeconomic kind of platform of growing up. So both parents were pediatricians. So I grew up with kind of parents who were high achievers. So always looking to get good grades and everything. But I think because there are a lot of inequalities for girls, women, and just in general, the future didn't seem what my parents had hoped for. So they decided to move. And they actually started the applications and everything. I was unaware up to kind of the approval. So they came both as skilled workers and I came along with them. So that was age 13.
Okay, so it was mostly for you and your future.
Exactly. So a lot of pressure on me since the age of 13. So just imagine kind of waking up in a new country, in a new city, don't have a lot of friends, don't know anyone, going to a new school, being in a high school, being a teenager. So there's like a lot of different identities that haven't been formed fully and you're just kind of thrown into it.
Yeah, and again, it's not just the immigration experience. It's the experience of being that age, being a preteen, being an adolescent. You don't have those identities anyways.
No, exactly.
So what were if you remember, your initial thoughts about this move? What did you think about Canada? What were you imagining?
I would say I was against it for sure. I was like, I have my friends. I know what I'm doing. I kind of see my future. But I guess at that age, I was too young to kind of notice the new opportunities that I would get with moving to a new country. So it was interesting. I would say beginning of it was a lot scary. So I think it was just a lot of anxiety, a lot of kind of feeling of loss, a grief, a bit of it. Especially I think I kind of vividly remember like the first week of going to high school where it's kind of like everyone already know each other. They're kind of coming from an elementary school where they all grew up with each other. It's kind of like hard fitting in and then doing it in another language. So it's like added pressure on top of everything. And then just being thrown into, these are your courses, you're going to take these and just, you're going to go with it.
My gosh, it doesn't sound like there was much support or preparation.
Not much. I would say definitely my parents supported me. I remember, I think it was like the first week where my mom kind of came with me to the school and she was like, I'm going to be there lunchtime. If anything happens, I'll be there for you. So it was good to have their support, but I knew they were also struggling to kind of find their own identities and kind of fit in to the system here. So it was kind of like a lot of moving pieces happening at the same time. So I didn't want to feel like a burden on top of what is already a lot of pressure.
Okay. So we have, I am entering grade 9.
Yep.
Have no idea who I am. Am also a bundle of hormones and
pretty much
angst and anger probably. And you mentioned even grief.
Yes. Yes.
around the loss of your life.
Exactly.
And you also have the awareness of, I don't want to put too much stress on my parents because I know what they're going through right now.
Exactly. So if I can give it a little bit of a glimpse of what their kind of lives look like, it was like they came in as skilled workers and they were experts in their field. However, they didn't get accepted as such.
Give me a little bit more. What does that skill worker thing look like?
So good question. So there's like different types of ways that you can immigrate to a country. So main ones are usually if you do have a certain skills or you are experienced in a field, you can kind of apply through that. There are other types as well. There's like now I think there's work permits. There's other different types. There's refugees. There's way different fields. But the ones that we came with was skilled workers. So they were both accepted and seen as pediatricians. However, when they came in here, which was Canada, Toronto, they had to go through a lot of different qualifications and getting additional testings. And pretty much you're just seen as someone who just graduated med school. So you're kind of in the same level as someone who just finished their medical school. And now you have to do the same tests and everything, regardless of whatever experience you've had in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing a lot about that, especially in Canada and Ontario with just not having enough doctors, not having enough family physicians.
Yes.
And even outside of that field, the frustration of immigrants of, I have so many skills and so much experience and it's not transferring over.
Yes, exactly. So it's definitely, there's a demand for it for sure. I mean, we can all see and hear. But I think it's just the way of accepting them into system is not efficient. I think there's a lot of bureaucracies and things that needs to be kind of looked at further, because I do know a lot of kind of my own family, friends, and everyone, not only in the field of medical or medicine, but in engineers, a lot of different fields as well, where they have that difficulty of, okay, I need to come with a lot of savings so I can survive at least the first few years, so I can go through the accreditation and get the qualifications that I need. But again, it just takes time, effort, and there's a lot of kind of grief again, because you're not working in the job that you're supposed to. So sometimes they settle for something less, which again, it comes with a lot of kind of loss and grief.
So what did your parents end up doing? What was that process like for them?
Good question. So I think they decided to split up the teamwork. So my dad started studying. I think it took him 3 years, so almost the same amount of years that I was studying in high school. So my mom actually ended up kind of going for something less than what she was supposed to do. So she kind of got her degree to do as a laser technician. So kind of working in the field of like beauty and other things. But for him, he passed the exams. He had to do like the English test. He had to do a couple of different ones. But the problem was they didn't accept him, because how the system works in Iran is the internship is 2 years and the residency is 1 year, if I'm not mistaken. But in Canada, it's different. So
it's like 12 years and a billion years in Canada.
Exactly. So they didn't accept him. They said it's not the amount they need. And we kind of explained everything, but it was just not worth it to kind of keep going at it. So it was at the point that we had to kind of decide what to do now. So we decided that my dad is going to go back, because we needed the money. We needed kind of him to start working again. But my mom stayed with me here. So I think even initially we had said that we're not going to split up. We are not that type of family where like one person is going to live somewhere else and we're going to live some other place. But we kind of ended up splitting up because my dad had to kind of go back, take care of things there. And then my mom, I guess, sacrificed in a sense of staying with me, because I was still under 18. I was still kind of figuring things
Your
out
grade
myself.
like 11, 12 at this point?
Exactly. Yeah. So almost like grade 12. It was the year that I had to decide what to do with the university. Yeah.
Wow, that's really heartbreaking. That's a heartbreaking decision to have to make. That's a lot to
Yes.
have to, again, our word of the day potentially is grief.
Yes.
It's a lot to grieve, a
Yes.
lot of adjustment. What was that like on the family? What was that like on you?
Very hard. I think we've always been together. I can't recall a moment where we had to kind of split up to this extent where one parent kind of stayed with me and the other one left. So definitely, as you said, and I think the sad part of it is I don't think I'm the only story like
No.
this. So I think there are a lot of immigrants who are experiencing similar thing as probably I did, but maybe in different extent. But again, it's just I saw it as another sacrifice that was being done to kind of let me have a new opportunity. So it was a lot of kind of, yes, grief for sure, but also anxiety as well, because now I have to perform. I have to kind of live up to not to their expectations, but at least to my own expectations of what I do see as successful or kind of achieving what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah, it sounds like your parents were pretty supportive, pretty kind.
Yes.
They seem like kind. I don't know them, but seem like kind people.
Yes, definitely.
But I can imagine, right? It wasn't a explicit, here's our expectations and here's what you have to do. It was probably a lot of what you put on yourself.
Exactly. So a lot of kind of like, as you said, adjustments for sure, but also you're also going through your identity of what do I want to be? Who do I see myself as? Because now you're in a new culture. You have to kind of find new friends, new sense of belonging, because it's not handed to you, right? So you have to kind of work almost twice or not more as hard as other people to kind of get to the point where you want to be.
Yeah, you're starting or not starting a couple steps back, but you are facing those identity pieces, mixing your Canadianness with being Iranian.
Yes.
And that takes effort. That takes time. That takes energy.
Yeah.
That takes mental space.
Yes.
So what did you decide? What was your next step?
So definitely my next step, I knew I'm going to go into university because that was my step all along. It was just the fact of, okay, now do I decide to leave Toronto? And that would, again, be another split in the family as well. So that would be me somewhere else, my parents, my mom's being somewhere else, and then my dad being somewhere else. So I decided to kind of stay in Toronto, go to York University. Initially, I had thought that I'm going to follow into their footsteps of becoming a medical doctor. But by the third year, I knew that wasn't the path for me. So, but I took a psychology course that really stuck with me. So I thought I'm going to switch majors, and I decided to do double major and then get into the field of psychology that way.
Okay. So it worked out. You found your path.
Yes.
You had to do a little bit of a pivot like many people do.
Exactly.
Right? When I talk to young folks who are trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do with their lives.
Exactly.
Right? The amount of people who start off university with a plan and end up actually executing that for long term, it's so tiny.
Yes. Exactly.
You really have to pivot.
Yes.
So tell me more about this identity building for yourself.
Yes. So definitely an interesting point, because I think the two cultures are way different from each other. One is more, as we call, individualistic, and one is more collectivistic. So very different views on family, growing up, the things that are expected from you to achieve and do. So I think definitely there was a time where I really struggled with that sense of identity of how do I fit in with my Canadian friends, but I still at home had to be that Iranian daughter. So I kind of had to kind of pivot at times between these two. Even like dating is different. Like the things that are seen as that such are different. Kind of way you dress, kind of all of those things can be different. So it was interesting. And I can recall like there were a period, I think it was in my high school, where I kind of struggled between like, no, should I go with one and just forget the other one and just kind of forget my background and just kind of fit in completely? but it was really hard. And I think the factor that really influenced that, where I kind of see myself in both cultures, is my parents. We spoke Farsi. They mentioned, like, although I'm going to be speaking English at school,
Mm-hmm.
everything is going to be done in English. We're still going to keep up with the traditions. We're going to still keep up with the same
Mm-hmm.
things, same language. And they kind of put that pressure on me, which I'm thankful for them. But at the time, it just didn't feel easy to do.
Yeah. So you're going back to the idea of individualistic versus collectivistic.
Yes.
Describe that a little bit more for me, for folks that maybe
Yeah.
don't know what
Absolutely.
that is.
Yes, good question. So I think if I could describe, I think more of the Western countries are categorized as individualistic. So your focus is kind of like your own success. You're kind of putting the, I guess, the focus on yourself, your
Mm-hmm.
own mental well-being, your own identity. However, in the collectivistic cultures, your identity is formed by who you surround yourself with. So
Okay.
your family is a big factor, your friends are a big factor. So you also strive to kind of make sure everyone within that unit is also successful. So you don't
Okay.
only focus on yourself, but you're also focusing on everyone else's well-being in that, let's say, family unit.
I hear both of those and I'm like, both of those sound great at different
Right?
times of your life. And I
Exactly.
can see the benefits of both. So I can imagine it
Yes.
would have been really difficult because you're spending your day
Yes.
in more of that individualistic
Exactly.
Western society where I'm sure, I'm making this assumption, but probably
Mhm.
less rules,
Yeah.
less,
Different set of rules for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
different set of rules.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you're going home, and it sounds like your relationship with that part of your identity was very much kind of your relationship with your family. Like if you wanted to move
Exactly.
away from that,
Yes.
you were moving away from your family, and that wasn't an option for you.
Exactly. Because a lot of your identity is also formed by your parents. So it's really important. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why a lot of focus are, I guess, put on kids, especially in
Mm-hmm.
collectivistic cultures, making sure they're successful, because that way the family is also successful as well. So there is a lot of focus on that. But also the other aspect of it is the traditions, right? So the things that
Yeah.
I grew up with, it just didn't feel the same. And I think up to this date still doesn't feel the same. So for instance, if I can give a quick example, is kind of like our new year. So our new year kind of coincides with the start of spring,
Okay.
which is different from the 1st of January
Mm-hmm.
here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So different traditions, different things, but because it always fell in like after the March break, so I never had the opportunity to kind of stay home, celebrate it with my family. I'm away from my friends, family members, like the aunts, uncles, and everyone. So it's kind of like hard to kind of keep those connections alive. So I think that's another big part of, you kind of lose that identity because you're leaving it behind in a sense.
Yeah. And to hold on to it, it does have to be an intentional choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So give me a little bit of an update around where you're at today with this identity journey. And
Yes, for sure. So I think what really was important for me, I think when I went through the third year of my undergrad, I knew I want to help mental health and be in the mental health field,
Mhm.
help folks, especially immigrants, if I could. So I think what really resonated with me was the field of psychology, psychotherapy. So I finished my degree. I spent a couple years working at a lab at York University, helping with
Cool.
research.
Very
But
cool.
at that point, I kind of figured out that I really want to be on the hands-on approach rather than kind of like the backside of doing research and
Mhm.
figuring things out. So I decided to kind of enroll at Yorkville, do my master's in counseling psychology, and then I guess I ended up doing my internship at Alli,
Yeah.
and now I'm working with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So give me a little bit of how you see this experience of immigration come into the therapy room.
Very good point. I think definitely the way I would describe immigration is definitely it gives you a lot of resilience and a lot of different perspectives. So I do personally myself, I was just thinking before coming here of how many immigrant clients I do have. And I think almost, I would say 50 to 60% of my client base.
Significant.
Yeah. Yeah. Very significant. Definitely. Their English isn't their first language, same as I. So they come from different countries. They have different experiences. But I think definitely the perspective of knowing what it feels like to immigrate to a country, it definitely gives me an insight of what their worldview or how they see the world around them can be.
So what are the challenges they come to you with?
Definitely a lot with career changes and kind of going through that for sure.
What you experienced through your parents.
Exactly. And it really does depend on the age group as well. So a lot of it can also be connecting with your family as well. So younger folks like in their 20s usually struggle with kind of that sense of identity of now I'm living on my own, but I still have my parents and they have their traditions. So there's a lot of that. There is a sense of kind of expectations. So a lot of people kind of come in with kind of putting the blame on themselves, not seeing themselves as that confident as they could be in their decisions, their choices. So there's a lot of that, but also a lot of cultural aspects as well. So kind of fitting in, again, that sense of identity and belonging as well.
What do you find is helpful to support your clients through? Let's start with family challenges. If they're having trouble connecting, maybe they're feeling like they can't really connect to the more traditional list way of their parents.
Yes.
What do you find helpful?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's kind of like that struggle between the two different cultures, right? So I feel like a lot of it, I think if I can boil down everything into like a simple word, it would be self-compassion. I think a lot of it has to be with kind of not feeling guilty because of you experiencing these challenges and also seeing it as something normal. So definitely each person has their own unique experiences, but they're not alone in this whole challenges and there are things that they're going through. Kind of like finding, and I think it's hard to give one single answer because each person's journey is so unique to them. But it's also kind of seeing different perspectives of the same situation, kind of understanding where their families might be coming from, but also appreciating what they're doing for themselves as well. So it's kind of like finding that good balance of, as you said, individualistic is good, collectivistic is good, but at what point and kind of what balance is good for both of them.
Okay. So going in, I'm hearing being open-minded. And if we're going to apply the Queen, Kristen Neff's 3 components of self-compassion here. Maybe that can be our little exercise for today. So the first component, self-kindness instead of self-judgment. So in the immigration experience, what could that sound like potentially for a client?
Yeah, definitely. So kind of like seeing themselves as being behind, seeing themselves as struggling and not being up to the expectation they have for themselves. Just reminding themselves that you have moved to a new country, you're facing new challenges, is as if, I think the easiest way that I can describe it is if a friend came to you with the same concern, what would you want to tell them?
Yeah. You would probably tell them, you're working hard. This is an adjustment.
Exactly.
Be patient with yourself. Focus on your strengths and your positives.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be talking down to the person saying you're behind, you're a loser. Oh my God, you haven't found a job yet, or
exactly. What are you doing with your life? So it's a lot of that questioning, right? Like, what am I doing? What should I be doing? But just kind of considering that this is not the normal situation. This is not you being in your own country, being in your own environment, in your own language with your friends, families. You're finding your sense of identity again. You're finding that belonging again. It takes time. Just be kind to yourself.
I'm adjusting. I'm figuring it out, and I will figure it out.
Exactly.
Component 2, common humanity versus isolation.
Exactly.
So common humanity probably in this situation would sound like, I'm not the only person who experiences these challenges. And I am amongst many people, even if the immigration experience isn't the same thing, even if you're not coming from the same country. I think what I hear from you is your experience of your own immigration really benefits your work with anyone experiencing that. So really, like, you are not alone.
Exactly. So I think you made an excellent point, which is that isolation, right? So sometimes we, even as normal person, they would fear going into new situations, new environments, meeting new people, right? That fear of being judged by other people. And then on top of that, now you have a new language to be added to it. You have a new culture to be adjusted to, right? So sometimes a lot of people actually do struggle with isolating themselves from the social situations, right? Because they think maybe my English isn't good, maybe I shouldn't go, maybe they're going to make fun of me. So there's a lot of that. But as you said it beautifully, is each person has their own unique journey. Yes, each story, even I think each person from the same city, from the same country, immigrating to a new place, they have their own unique set of stories. No two stories are similar, but there are common elements to it, right? So I think it's important to notice that, yeah, I think there's a lot of other folks here that have immigrated. They know maybe the struggles that I'm going through. So maybe I'm not alone in this. And as you said it, it's definitely common.
Component 3. We have mindfulness versus kind of fusion with the thoughts and the feelings.
Yes.
So that kind of, I think, maybe ties into the self-kindness, right?
Exactly.
Not taking those judgments you're maybe having or the challenges you're maybe having as fact about you, right?
Exactly.
If you're facing a specific difficulty, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It's just something you're experiencing right now and it's temporary.
Exactly. And I think the way I kind of describe it to my clients is I always say, you have a thumb, right? A thumb is a, but you wouldn't describe yourself as a thumb, right?
Yeah.
So that thumb is a thought, right? It can be transient, it can go, and it can be a feeling. It's okay to sit with it and acknowledge it, but it doesn't define your whole identity or personality, right? So it's kind of like remembering that yeah, I mean, I can have a thought that it's difficult and I can have a thought that it's hard to kind of go through these, but just being mindful that you are also gaining some strengths by going through this whole process that maybe other folks who have been raised here don't have that perspective from being, I guess, born and kind of growing up in the same place.
I love that because I have a thumb, but I am not a thumb. I'm going to remember that. And also, I love that thumb has the same starting letters as thought. So I'm going to also hear thought and finish it in my brain as thumb and have a little giggle.
Yes.
Thanks to you.
No problem.
So let's finish off with a little question. Podcast is called Permission to Heal.
Yes.
So I want you to send a permission to something, either to your younger self that was going through this transition or to a listener that maybe relates.
I'm going to send it to listeners. I know my younger self definitely would have appreciated, but I think even if this story that I just said, these kind of things that we talked about can touch someone else, I think that just kind of makes my day. I just want to, I guess, tell that other person who's listening that if you're going through the struggles, you're definitely not alone. And I know sometimes the issue with immigration is you want to adapt and that becomes your first priority. And all the other struggles might not seem important, but they're still there. So it's always important, I think, to kind of spend that effort and kind of put that effort into your mental well-being as well. Remembering that, yes, you're going through an adjustment period, you're going through adaptations, but the struggles are still, if the struggles are still there, they're important and they should not be ignored. I think that's a little bit of a advice or kind of permission that I'm giving to someone hearing this, is that your struggles are definitely real and it would be beneficial for you to kind of get help from someone who might have gone through the same experience as you are.
Okay, so permission to really acknowledge what you're going through and permission to take care of yourself in the way that you need to.
Exactly. Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Abba.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to Permission to Heal. And if this resonated with you, please like, follow, share, because shame shrinks when we share our stories in safe spaces. And do not forget that if you are looking for compassionate, accessible, affordable therapy, Alli is here for you. You can get started today at alli.io. That's ALLI.io. And take care of yourselves. And don't forget that you have permission to heal. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Alli Therapy, where we believe that shame shrinks when we share our stories in safe spaces, and that every Canadian should have access to affordable therapy. Join the over 38,000 Canadians who have found their perfect therapist match through our personalized matching quiz at alli.io. That's ALLI.io, because you always have permission to heal.